So, so really quick, I just want to go over a couple of things with you that you might not know when it comes to fuel and petroleum cards. So the top three that I use, Mudflap, it usually gets me into stations that are off the beaten path. And the good thing about Mudflap is that you can use your regular credit card or bank account, and it's not an issue. Number two on my list is the TS card through Open Roads. Now, cool card, but you got to have a debit, like bank account type thing with it. Lastly, if you live in the area where there is a Royal Farm, use that Royal Farm card or GasBuddy card, and it usually gets you a few cents off.
When he speaks from the heart and tells it like it is, we call that unscripted. Welcome to Unscripted from Hanging with the Hazes.
What's shaking, family? How y'all doing today? So, real quick, I'm going to tell you about the cards that I use when I travel and get diesel. So, Mudflap is my number one card. It is a diesel savings card. It is not for regular gas. And I'm sorry that this is not about regular gas, but this is really going to focus on the diesel fuel market. So bear with me with that. So it's a diesel savings card, much like your Open Roads card. Now, the diesel savings card allows you to fuel up at truck stops, and they're usually ones off the beaten path. That comes in handy when A, you're looking for inexpensive diesel fuel, and B, when you are in some very remote places and a Love's or TA or Flying J Pilot is not available. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, I do not get fuel from Flying J's or Pilots. I just don't. Their fuel is ridiculously expensive, and the only real way that you get any type of savings is if you go through Good Sam, which currently I am not a member of. So that being said, I typically stay with your Loves, your TA, your Davis Fuel truck stops, and then some of the independent shops as well. So that's where Mudflap comes in. It gets you into a lot of those independent shops, and you still are able to save a significant amount of money. Usually you pay about 3 cents more per gallon than the Open Roads card, but that 3 cents will keep you on the straight and narrow when you get into some of these in-between places that TA is not. So that Mudflap card is an app on the phone. It uses your credit card versus using your bank debit card. Although you can do that, you can use your debit card from your bank, and an ACH debit. That's the other one that you can do. Now, let's switch over a little bit and talk about the Open Roads card. Now, Open Roads only allows you to debit your checking account. I got an issue with that. That is the reason that it is my number 2 go-to. Now, it's okay if you are on main roads, but once you get off the main beaten path, like in between, I'm going to say I-85 in Virginia, right there by Petersburg, all the way down to the other side of Hall River, you start running into TAs a little far apart from each other. They're not right there. But your Davis truck stops and your other independent truck stops, they are plentiful, and that's where Mudflap comes in. So Open Roads is great if you are in a municipal area where they have plenty of TA, Loves, things like that. But your independent stops, you really want to have your Mudflap where you can get in and out. Now, if you're in and around like the Mid-Atlantic, specifically Maryland, and you can get into a Royal Farm. Now, once you get on the eastern shore of Maryland, for example, you don't have the option of TA and things like that, especially to use your Mudflap or your Open Roads card. And this is where your GasBuddy card comes in. Now, GasBuddy will let you fuel up at Royal Farm at a reasonable price, and a lot of those Royal Farms, because those other stops are not there, they do have diesel islands specifically for trucks. The Royal Farm in Hunt Valley is one. There's another Royal Farm right there off of 95 as you get into White Marsh that also has a diesel island. Another diesel island is Hawkins Point down in Baltimore, right by the old Francis Scott Key Bridge. And then once you get down on the Eastern Shore, down 13 and roads like that, a lot of those rural farms have truck stops and diesel islands that you can use this card. Now, once you get those 3 cards, you are pretty much covered all throughout the United States. To give you an idea, diesel savings with Mudflap average in the Midwest about $3.03 a gallon right now as of today, March 1st, 2025. Roughly about the same up and down the East Coast, maybe up just a wee bit. The open roads card is relatively close, right at $3.01 a gallon on average. And then depending on which rural farm you go to, you're probably going to get 5 to 6 cents off a gallon. So you're right around $3.20. But that difference in price, with you paying, not having to pay $4.50 a gallon at a Flying J or something like that, really does come in handy. The way to get the GasBuddy card is an app on the phone, just like you normally would. And they usually get that card out to you in about 7 to 10 days. And once you attach your bank account to that card, then you are able to use it. And I think it's like a $125 limit per use. So if you have a big diesel coach where you got to get 100 gallons, you might have to swipe twice. But nevertheless, you are still able to get into a diesel island with a decent discount. And their fuel is usually good. They turn it over quite frequently. So that is the skinny on the diesel. If you need any questions answered about that, let me know. I will be more than happy to share anything else that you need and share your experiences with me. This is Crazy Keon, and I'm out of here.
Be sure to join us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and you can always catch us on Facebook and YouTube. Hanging with the Hazes.